Assalamualaikum. I will demonstrate to you how we're going to analyze our panel data in Eviews. Okay, before I start with the steps to export the data to Eviews, I would like to explain the data structure for a panel data. So as we know that panel data consists of cross-section data and a time series data. Okay, so in this case, we will have a column I for the cross section, and also we will have a column T represent the time series, and this is our variable. Okay, so in this case, we have 10 cross section or 10 company. So that's why I just assign number one for company 1, number 2 for company 2, number 3 for company 3, and so on. Okay, so for example, we have 10 company. So the number code for cross section is until 10. Then for a time series, since we have a 20 time series or 20 series of data for each company, so we will write down 1 until 20 for one company, and this is the data. For example, okay, this is company 1, year 1, company 2, year 2, and then you have company 2, year 1, company 2, year 3, and so on. So these are the variable. For example, I and V is your dependent variable, V and K is your independent variable. So in this type of data structure, we call this data structure as undated and unstructured because of we not sorting it as a structured or dated data. Okay. So how are we going to export this file to Eviews? Okay, you open up your Eviews, then we use the function file, import from file. Okay, we choose the data file that you're going to import. Okay, so I want to use Grunfeld data. So I just click Grunfeld and open. Okay, so again, you select your predefined range. So in this case, my data is in sheet 1. So okay, so you can see that it's already appear at this space. Okay, so we just click next. Okay, then they ask us about the column headers for each column. The row number 1 is the header line. So we just click next. Okay, this also next. Okay, so we need to identify our data structure. So by default, since we not sorting our data as a structured and dated, so automatically Eviews will identify our data as unstructured and undated. Okay, if you click the drop down button, so there are choices for panel data. We have dated panel, undated with ID series, undated panel. So in this case, we use unstructured, undated. Then we click finish. Okay. We just click no. Okay. Actually, it doesn't matter either you click yes or no. Okay, but for this exercise, I just want to click no. I will explain to you later why I click no. Okay. So our data already been imported, and we can see this icon again, B for the coefficient value or the constant value, I for the cross sections, I and V our dV, K is our IV residual value, T is the time series, and V is our independent variable. So by default, because we setting our data as unstructured, undated, they just appear over here, a range 1 to 200, because if you cannot read this our data just now as a panel data, they just read our data as a time series data. So how are we going to restructured our data to be set as a panel data. So first, you click props, okay? Then you choose structured or resize the current page, okay? So this dialog box will appear, and then you will choose undated with ID series, because we don't put the exact date, for example, the year, the month, or etc. Okay, because we just put 1 until 20. So we just choose undated with ID series, because we assign the ID series just now. Okay, the I mean one for company 1, 2 with company 2, 3 for company 3. Okay, so we click this and see what happened. Okay, they will ask us the identifier series. So the series over here referring to the cross-section series and also the time series. Okay, we just type I and T for the identifier series. Why I and T? Because I represent the cross-section, T represent the times. Okay, then you click OK. So you see that okay, the sample is still 200 observation, but the range they already mentioned about 10 and 20. So 10 referring to the cross-section, the I, 20 referring to the time series. So this data set or this work file already set up as a panel data. Okay, again, so if you want to open up your data, we click the INV, K and V, open as a group. Okay, so you can see that panel data, the Eviews already sort the data as a panel data. Okay, so you name this group as a group 1. So after this, if you want to run the regression and the correlation and descriptive statistic, we can just quickly open it, the groups. Okay, so again, how we're going to run the descriptive statistic is similar with the time series and also cross-section data. We just click view, okay, then choose a descriptive statistic, a common sample. So this data will available. Okay. So I just freeze and name it as a descriptive statistic. Okay. Then I just close the table. I want to run the correlation. Okay, remember how we're going to run a correlations? So we click view, covariant analysis, we untick the covariant, we click the correlation, the t-statistic and the probability. Okay, then click OK. So Eviews will give us the correlation results. Okay, then we want to run the regression. The ultimate objective is to run a regression. Okay, we use the function of quick estimate equation. Okay, what make different between time series and cross-section and panel data is when you click the estimation, the equation estimation. For a time series, they only have a specification tab and option. But since we already set our data as a panel data, so they have another option, which is a panel option. So if you want to cross-check, either you already set your data in panel data, so by clicking equation estimation, you can reconfirm either your data is setting in panel or not. So again, we can just type our equation. We start with the y value. So in this case, the dependent variable is I and v. Then space, we enter the c. C is actually a constant or beta 0 value. Then space, k, the variable x1, and v for x2. Okay, what is under panel option? So as I mentioned in the notes, in panel data, we can control the certain effect, for example, the cross-section effect or the the period effect. Okay, but at this level, at this point, we just ignore. We just want to run as a pool data. Okay, option is similar like this. So we just ignore this. So we just want to run as a pool panel data. So the method here is least square. Number of sample is 1 to 200. Then you click OK. Okay. If you can see the result over here, method, they will mention the panel least square method. For a time series, they will just mention about least square method. Okay, so this make different. They mention about the sample 1 to 200. They also stated the period include is 20 and cross-section include is 10. So this means that our data already been set as a panel data. Okay, so then they will give you the total number of observation in this case, because we have a balanced data, so we already know what are the difference between balanced and unbalanced data. So if your data is balanced, means that all series is similar, or means that all company having a similar or same number of series or number of data available. Okay, in this case we have 10 company, all 10 company have a 20 years data, so it will appear a balanced data. If your data is unbalanced, means that company 1 maybe 10 years, company 2 15 years, so the in the number of observation, they will mention the unbalanced data. So the regression result is similar. So we just focus to the coefficient value, to the statistic, value, the probability, the R squared, and also the F value. Okay, so that's all for a demonstration of panel data, how we want to run a regression, or how we want to export our Excel file for panel data into Eviews. Okay, thank you very much for your time.